What is up, everybody? Caleb, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me turn this brightness up here. Uh, Welcome, everybody. Honestly, I might have to leave that light here. I feel like it looks a lot better than it normally does. How's everybody doing? I hope you guys have your food ready. What's up? So, Caleb, while we're waiting for everybody, let us totally keep talking about this build. So, those of you that are going to watch this later, so this is a guitar that I've had for Caleb. I think it's been like what, 5 years, 4 or 5 years, and it's pretty. Even has the banana stock, but like you can see the frets are worn and all that stuff. Michael, welcome. I hope you guys brought food because we're just chill hanging tonight. Uh, but yeah, I got this thing like 5 years ago, stripped it down because it used to be a sunburst paint job. You can see it is so bright, it's blindingly white from the paint primer I put on it. But I didn't do a very good job. So now I get to redo it, and Caleb is one of the people that's helping me redo this guitar. We're gonna turn it into a studio shred machine. Michael, thank you for coming on while you're on break, man. It's so good to see you. How was the concert? I saw some photos with you and your son, and looked like it was a good time, man. Gonna move this just a little bit more. There we are. That should help just a little bit. Yeah, man, I think it was like 5 years. But I'm excited to post photos of the befores and afters. Hey Matt, welcome, welcome, welcome. We were just talking about this, Matt. You might be able to help with this. So I hope you guys brought your food tonight, because like I said, yeah, gnats. Like I said, tonight is like chill hang night. So this is the project guitar, Matt. It's the same guitar I've had for like 5 years. And Caleb and I were gonna finish this guy. The only thing is we are trying to spec it out, and Caleb is doing like a super cool, complicated build with one of his guitars. I am looking at doing something a little bit less complicated, but it's gonna be so much fun. Dude, that's so cool. So like, first time I heard Ronnie Radke was Escape the Fate, right? I've never heard him live. Um, Never heard him live, but he has a cool voice. He seems like a pretty solidish dude. I've never met him in person or been close to him in like any kind of way. I just know him from the band stuff, and I know he just recently put out that cover of Papa Roach's song. Uh, So yeah. Also, would be an open cup, but it's sitting next to computer stuff. So so Matt, we're looking at doing the SSH setup, but gonna do a single coil size humbucker in the neck that then will run to a toggle to split, so that it'll be like true single versus mini humbucker. Do some sort of single coil in the middle, and then run a full size covered bridge. Um, wanting to do a black pearl guard, but then I'm thinking about, excuse me, doing like white pickup covers or something like that. Just making it look kind of more like uh, I'll call it like a cookies and cream finish. Here's one you haven't seen in a while, Matt. This is the ART 300 I had from years ago. Still have it. And dude, this thing is taking care of me. Dude, how did you wire up your telly? And Michael, what was the best part of the show? Caleb, your build though is going to be so cool though, you know, with everything that you're telling me about. It's going to be pretty sweet. Not Michael. I might have to check this out because I really do like Ronnie's vocals. Wait, what? What, Matt? That sounds almost like you're doing a piezo. All right, however you guys say it. I say piezo. I think some people say piezo. That sounds like a really cool setup. Don't mind me as I stuff my face. Just letting everybody know we are live over. It's gonna be a fun night, guys. And there we are. Caleb, you call it a piezo? Matt, that is insane. That is such a cool build. Michael, that's so cool. That's so cool. I could see the smiles on your guys' faces, and I'm like, man, they had a good time. I'm so glad it went well. I had some friends recently go to a show, and it wasn't Falling in Reverse. It was a different band, but the concert, like the music was good, but the crowd was apparently not so nice, especially towards one of the bands that was there, and it's just like, you know, that's not really cool. Like if you get invited to a show, which more oftentimes than not, it's less, I think, of an invite. So if you watch people like pardon that, if you watch people like Tank the Tech, he goes over this, but there's a lot of times where a record label will pay to have their band play. But like, if you're out there, you know, obviously there are people that they didn't come to hear you. They didn't come to hear your band. Um, but if you are out there, you might as well make the best of it, you know. Um, Granted, there's going to be mean people, there's going to be what have you, but if you're out there, you might as well have fun while you're out there. Yeah, Caleb, you should check out Matt's band, Coyote Hollow. You too, Michael. Oh my goodness, these guys, They sound good. So they play at some local festivals, like in Doolittle and Newburgh and stuff. And they're so good. They are so, so good. If you guys see me slapping around, it's just because of the gnats, okay? I have like one gnat in the studio that he's a little beefy. All right. Okay, I think that should be. So, Michael, they are on YouTube. I think they're Matt, you guys are on Facebook as well. I don't think you guys have Spotify yet, do you? Also, in honor of my wife, since I have an iced coffee, I gotta do the iced coffee shake. Matt, I feel that. I feel that in my soul. Yeah, you guys sound so good, Matt. So Matt plays guitar and sings, right? Which is really hard to do. Like it takes a lot of practice, and Matt's really, really good at that. It's fun listening to them. So, speaking of concerts, guys, because Michael was telling us about when he was out checking out Falling in Reverse, and AX7 was there. Dude, AX7 is one of my wife's favorite bands. But what was your favorite concert that you've been to, or that you've watched? We can do watch too, because not gonna lie, it's kind of fun going on YouTube and watching the live concerts. Um, favorite concert I've been to is a guy named Stephen Curtis Chapman. He's a Christian artist, but I remember that show. Excuse me, one because it was the first time I actually got to see kind of like a real life celebrity, but also it was because his guitar player was playing through an orange amplifier. It was the first time I had seen a guitarist use an orange amp, and it was so cool. Uh, I was little. I was maybe like 5 or 6. I've been to. I went to Winter Jam, and it was cool-ish. I went the year that Ledger was doing more of her solo project, and I. It was hard for me because all the 14-year-old boys were like losing their minds over her accent, and yeah, I was like, well, it was very like Skillet-esque. She's really good at what she does. Um, but yeah, I was definitely just like, not my favorite, but it'd be what it'd be. Let's see, who else was there? Some crew with the panda hats or the panda masks. Um, they were there. That was a pretty good show, or part of the show. It was the show where Newsboys United became a thing. That tour where Newsboys United became a thing, and that was kind of interesting. It was fun. Let's see what you guys have. See, Skillet seems like a cool show, but like individual members of Skillet, it feels different when they're not all there, you know? Um, oh, Matt, that's a hard choice. Cause like I love Foo Fighters because Everlong, how can you not love that? And then BB King, how can you not love BB King? I think I remember you telling me about that, Matt, that you guys are gonna go see Corblund. That sounds like a really fun time. I think you said he was gonna be in St. Louis, right? It's okay, Caleb. Same. I've been to a few, and some of them I've been like, yeah, I could have lived without that. Others were really good. Let's see. So, Michael, Limp Bizkit is uh, one of the bands I have not listened to. Like, if you were like, "Hey, this is Limp Bizkit," I'd be like, "Okay, I trust you." I haven't really listened to them. I got into new metal a little bit. Like, I've listened to a little bit of Korn, a little bit of Linkin Park, a little bit of like that style. Uh, but like, they are one of the bands I have not listened to. Fun fact, new metal is classified as the metal genre plus any other subgenre that's added in. So if it's jazz, if it's fusion, if it's whatever, it's not alternative, it's new metal. But I will say, Michael, I have heard Fred Durst. He is a really good businessman, but also that they do put on a good show, if I remember correctly. Caleb, that's pretty cool, man. I didn't know Disciple was going to be that close. Yeah, that's not bad, Matt. $20 for tickets is not bad. I don't even know what my parents paid for the concert we went to. It was on a fort, so it might have just been, hey, if you're military, come on over. I don't remember. I was way too young to remember that. But I I do enjoy things like Winter Jam and stuff where the cost isn't terrible, you know. I think it's like $10 at the door, and it's really not bad. And you get like what, 5 6 different bands, and it's like a 20 to 30 minute set each, something like that. It's not bad at all. Dude, that's so cool that you got to meet Wes. So I worked a job here locally, and I won't say where, I won't say who, but I worked a job in the Raleigh area, and there was a manager I met who knew the guitar player of Puddle of Mud. He went to high school with him. They went to the same parties and whatnot, apparently. And they weren't like buddy buddy, but he recognized him. He was like, "Yeah, that's so and so," because he remembered him from playing when they were younger. And it's like that's kind of cool. Apparently, he, I guess, was playing guitar and stuff when he was in high school, and my manager remembered him. Like that's nuts, but it's kind of cool. You never know who knows who. You really never know who knows who. Caleb, there are so many subgenres now. It's nuts. It's like just even metal alone, it feels almost like there's some sort of genre that'll pop out every 3 or 6 months or so. It's like I don't know. So when I worked at a retail resale shop, I I would listen to a lot of like metal and stuff that I could just put in and not really, think about what I was doing because you're sorting through some pretty gross stuff. Some of it's super cool, excuse me, but there's a lot that's pretty gross. Anyway, I would listen to a lot of like metal. I would check out new bands. I'd do stuff like that, or old bands that were new to me. I listened to. Um, I used to listen to bands like Fear Factory and stuff like that when I was at Goodwill, um, or that retail resale shop. Don't worry, I won't let the secret out. um, but yeah, like I'd check out like Fear Factory. I think I listened to Fit for a King for the first time when I was working there. Um, who else did I check out? Avatar. Oh my goodness. Avatar's singer and musicians are on such another level. If you guys have not checked them out playing live, oh my goodness. Oh, if you've not checked out Avatar, I would totally recommend uh, checking out their song "Bloody Angel," or if there's a little bit of language in this one, if you go check out "Hail the Apocalypse" by Avatar, that is an insane song, and they play it the same way live that they do in the recording. It's nuts. Caleb, same. Watching that music video uh, from Surrogates today, I was so pumped when I watched it through the first time. Like, I had no idea a music video was dropping today. So I wasn't like pre hyped up so that, my expectations made everything crash. Like, I was like, oh, this is new. And then listening to it, I'm just like, oh, this is good. I don't know if you guys do this too, but like when there's a when there's a song that just came out and people are like gushing over it, when I go to check it out, usually by that point my expectations are so high that when I listen to the song, it's just kind of like mid. It doesn't hit the same way. Um, a few months ago, the band Extreme uh, released that song Rise, and everybody was talking about Nuno Betancourt's solo. And they're like, oh my goodness, this guy is a wizard. This is insane. How in the world? and I remember my wife and I pulled up the song. My wife and I were there together, started playing the song, started listening to it, and it was like, okay, because the mix on the music video is a little off. Sounds like. Granted, you mix how you want. That song has millions of views. Mine has like my videos have like 100. So take what I say with a grain of salt. Um, but like we get through the song, get to the guitar solo, and we listen to it. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. Like the first part, you're like, okay, where is he gonna go with this? Where is he gonna go? And then gets to the middle, and it's like, okay, this is like 80s Phrygian rock. It's just good classic shred playing. And then it gets to the end, and that's where all the hype I think was for that solo. Um Sorry, I got my eyes on the snap. Apparently he's coming and saying hi. uh, but when you listen to the solo, there's a tech processing that's going on, so that when I heard it the first time, I'm like, "Oh, that's studio magic." I knew what it was. I don't think most people that heard that song know what it is they were listening to. Um, it's almost like a bit machine. It's pretty cool. Um, but it granulated his playing gradually throughout that last bit of the solo, and it was so good. But when I first heard it, I was like, ah, like my expectation was up here. I was like, this is gonna be so good. And then it just, when I heard it, I was like, that was a letdown. It was good, but like so many people were saying, this is such an amazing solo. And maybe I just don't get it. Maybe. But when I asked some people on forums, I was like, hey, so this is my thoughts on this. And they were like, here's what we're hearing. And what they were hearing was a lot different than I was. So again, your perspective makes your reality. Little plug in there. Uh, so yeah, I I have to be so careful of not building up hype pre-listening to a song. Michael, have a great night, man. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon, sir. Have a great night. Be safe, okay? Caleb, I wish I was that good. I wish I was that good, but I I don't know no karate. Thanks, Michael. We'll see you soon, sir. Guys, if you have not yet, if you would not mind, either drop a like or a dislike on the video. It does help the analytics a little bit. Um, this month has been kind of nuts. Thank you guys for coming and um, watching these videos. We went over 1,000 views on the channel. We're sitting at close to 40 hours of watch time. So thank you guys. That's you guys. I really, really appreciate it. These live streams are a big part of it. You know, going and checking out the videos and stuff. Just thank you. Um, but yeah, Red's new album, man. I think it's pretty good. Um, there's a couple songs I listened to. I was like, it feels more like weaker Red, but it's pretty cool. What's up, Mom? Good to see you. Oh my goodness, I was not expecting to see you tonight. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Unfortunately, my better half is not with me tonight. She's had a long day. She's resting, but it's okay. I got iced coffee to keep me company. Oh man. So yeah, I think there's a couple songs that are on this album that, again, Case and I we were listening to, and it was just like they didn't quite hit, but Surrogates, man, whew, that music video and the song, it was so good, so good. Caleb, no, this is where you need to get extremely wild. Um, that way, my mom-in-law knows uh, that my I have friends in very low places. I'm teasing. Oh my goodness. So, how has your day been? We kind of went through a little bit already, and as I told everybody, I hope you brought dinner because it's just kind of live chilling tonight. Chill hanging, if I can say the right word. So, Matt, Caleb and I, we've been checking out the Red album a little bit. So they just had a song drop today. But what have you been listening to recently? What's been your musical inspiration? Also, thank you guys for checking out the demo track I sent to you all. Definitely appreciate it. Caleb, dude, you have got to slow down. You're good, Matt. Caleb, you've got to slow down. You just picked up the PRS. That is awesome, man. Ah, so see, you're right, man. You're right. When you have the skills, those jobs they do pop up. I uh I am trying to get a good system going so that I can develop a list of clientele. Right now there's a couple people I've worked for, a couple people I can pitch to, but like honestly, these past few weeks, these guys, the business cards, uh, they've really been helpful. Been able to pass those off to businesses and whatnot. And yeah, if you guys can, and you guys have been, I appreciate that. Please share what I do with people. If they need like custom music made for whatever, then just have them shoot me an email. Bro, that's like the best. Speaking of, I have not checked my Venmo in a long time. um, yeah, so like some people know what I do, and um, I don't know if I ever explained it well on here. So the purpose of Blood Wolf Records, the this guy, I can get him in the light. The purpose of that guy, um, eventually is going to be a roster of performing artists, and that's the goal eventually, is so that Blood Wolf Records will be a musician owned label made by a musician for musicians, with musicians in the structure. That way it's, man, this gnat is so hard to kill. That way it's people who kind of been there. They kind of know the struggle. Not everybody will have the same experience, and that's what I want one day. Um, but the purpose of it right now, I made this record label so that I could pitch music to businesses for commercial use, or to private individuals. It is an LLC, so it's limited liability. It keeps my personal assets away uh, from people if they decide to sue. They're like, "Oh my goodness, you were here, you were recording, and you were recording our stuff, and while you're here, we think that you broke this or you took that. And we're gonna sue. We're gonna do this." It kind of keeps my own personal assets out of it all. Um, so that's like, okay, you can sue the business, but um, pretty much everything that I use to record is personal, not business, you know. It's kind of protection, just so it's not everything's gone. But what it's turned into, because back in 2022, that was the purpose. What it's turned into now is if somebody has a song idea and they don't have necessarily the equipment, but they want to get their song done, I have a mobile studio rig. So I just load up my car, I drive to them, or we meet up in a spot, um, and then we get everything set up. We do the run throughs, we get the songs ideas, all that sort of stuff done beforehand. We get everything set up, we record, mix and master, get it to them, and that way they don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, I don't have $300 to drop on one song that is, 2 minutes long. Yeah, dude, old country is great, man. uh, a friend introduced me to old country via the old violin, that song. um, so that's what it is now. It is helping people create their own songs. But then for people who, like, you say you have a wedding and you don't want the song, well, Here Comes the Bride. Say you want your own theme song. Um, yes, that exactly, Matt. They can't take the car, they can't take the house, they can't take the guitars, they can't take the computer, they can't take the amps. um, Now, anything that is claimed as a business expense, like if I had put like a bass I bought under the business, then yes, that's something that can be uh, obviously taken as collateral or whatnot if the case was lost. Um, but yeah, say you are a person, you're like, you know what, we want our wedding to be different, so we don't want to do Here Comes the Bride. We don't want to do the pop songs. We don't want to do this. I want to do something unique. I want to do something that is me. Sweet, I can help you. What is it that you'd like to do? I don't know. Okay, what kind of music are you into? Well, I really like, let's say they are a country and classic rock couple. It's like, okay, I can help you. Let's see if we can figure out something that will make you really happy to walk down. It's not cheesy. It's not like, well, obviously it's a wedding, so you want it kind of cheesy. Um, Stuff like that. Yes, Caleb, I can do music for games. I can do music for movies. I've worked on music for a movie before, and it's kind of fun. Not gonna lie. I definitely enjoy doing stuff like that. Um, the thing is, though, we're kind of in a weird spot right now. So, not talking politics, but we all know the economy is a little iffy right now, which also means people are very iffy. They don't really want to spend money on frivolous things unless you have some money to throw around. But that's okay. All that means is you just have to work a little bit harder to find the right clients. So I appreciate whenever you guys share, excuse me, I appreciate whenever you guys like share the cards, share the posts, when you guys like and follow stuff like that. Excuse me, because it helps spread brand awareness, but also it furthers the reach so that one day when somebody needs something, they know where they can go. And my thing is that if I can't help them, then I'll try to get them connected with somebody who can. That consultation is not going to cost them anything. I'm here to help. But that's enough of my pitch for tonight. That's kind of where we're at right now with Blood Wolf Records. The future goal is to be a musician owned label for musicians. Less of the corporate mess, less of the red tape and politics and favoritism that happens. Less of the so and so, therefore you get a pass, and more of just, hey, we're here to help everybody. I gotta admit though, one of the hardest things about scoring a soundtrack is when the movie's not there and you have to picture it in your head. That is so much fun because then you have to picture, okay, what's this gonna look like? How's this change gonna flow? And it's so much fun. It is so much fun. Yeah, Caleb, it's kind of fun. So, like, when you're doing songwriting, there's gonna be more videos coming out, Lord willing, soon about the songwriting, the recording, and producing tips, playlists. More videos will be coming out of that, Lord willing. But like when you build a song, there's a billion and one ways to write a song. But your song's got to begin somewhere, it's got to end somewhere, and there has to be some sort of line to catch people's attention. So, those are three good places to usually start. When you're scoring a movie or you're scoring even an audiobook, let's do an audiobook for instance. Um, when you're scoring an audiobook, there is no visual cues. Everything is between uh, the listener, the reader, and the music. Not all audiobooks do this, but there's some really good ones. The Brian Jock series, The Red Wall and Mossflower. In between chapters, there's music. Um, Hank the Cowdog, John R. Erickson, he puts music in his audiobooks. It helps grab the mind. The songs stick in your head a little bit better. But when you have no visual cues, you got to think about what is the theme, what's going on, and how do you represent that? And it's so cool because it takes your mind from thinking about just, oh, this is minor, this is major, and it takes you to a place of, well, how does this feel? It takes it out of, well, this is in the right key to, is this the right feel? If I'm writing a soundtrack for something that's a little bit scary, I don't necessarily want to use all the right notes because then it feels predictable. But if you're jumping out of scale enough, not too much, but enough, it starts to feel uncanny, which is great. Thanks, Caleb. Um, yeah, that was actually a fun video to make. And it's only, that was a small dive into layering. Um, it gets as shallow or as deep as you want it to go. And I am by no ways a master at mixing uh, or mastering or even songwriting. Like I said, my videos usually get like 200 to 300 views on a really good day. I've had one song break 1,000, and that was an amazing feeling. I look forward to the day when that repeats. Um, but it's kind of like I told you before, Caleb. Um, Back when I was when I was a little bit younger, um, and I was trying to do songwriting, I made the mistake of trying to write what people wanted, what I thought people wanted. Um, I would message like 15 people the same song and be like, hey, what do you think about this? And, you get like sometimes 5, 6, 10, 15 different answers depending on who you ask. Um, and so then it's like, oh, okay. And I made the mistake of doing that a lot, and it ended up costing me a lot of originality, but it also helped me hear what other people were hearing, um, which did help as well. It was a trade off. Um, I'm excited about what's coming though, because like it is so much of a death sentence to look at the past and say, well, this was the best achievement I ever did, so I got to make everything look like this. That's not how you grow as an artist or as a business or as a brand. You do look back and say, well, this is what worked. But to tell you the truth about that video, the song It's Me, I don't know what it was about that video that took off. Each day, it was getting around like 200 to 300 views, which was really, really strange. Definitely, it was not my best, but there was something that people liked, and I don't know what it was. Um, and then I got really, really proud and sent that song into uh, a roasting live session on YouTube because I wanted other people to hear the song and it would at least grow. And I was like, well, even if it gets roasted, people still check out the song. And sent the song in, and it got roasted so bad. And I think I told you, Caleb, it took me, that was back in April or May of 22. I don't think it was until August of 22 when I launched Any More Music. And I was slaving over that song as best as I could because everything that had been pointed out on that song, It's Me, um, on that song, I wanted to fix on the next track. But I tell you what, it wasn't all fixed on the next track, or the track after that, or the track after that, or the short song after that. But little bit by little bit, I noticed it kept improving. Thanks, Mom. I'm reading your comment. Thank you so much. I'm so glad I got to see you. You have a wonderful, wonderful night. I don't know if you're still in chat or not, but hope you have a wonderful, wonderful night. So, Caleb, um, okay. I was reading your comment, Mom, and I was like, oh man, I think she's leaving. Totally went on a tangent there, but I couldn't let you leave without saying good night. But just know I really miss you, G and Nana, and Harold. I need to say hi to that guy. But Caleb, I noticed something with worship music. The vocals are generally like highest priority, right? But then it's like, where where are the other instruments? It's it's kind of odd. It's like I know it's a little bit of a conundrum. So, like, a church I'd play at, the vocals were given the biggest slice of the pie. And you already know this because you mix this, but vocals, like the clarity of them is around 2000 to 2500 hertz, maybe a little bit higher if you're a female singing. That's like where people understand the articulation. I think it's like, what is it, 800 to 1000 hertz is like where the power of the vocal is. Generally, if you're like a dude, it could be a little bit higher if you're a lady. It could be, I could be wrong. It's been a while since I have double checked my notes. Um, but it's like your instruments, 800 hertz is important for drums, for bass. Um, Guitars, yes. You, if you want well-rounded guitars, yeah. Generally, when you high pass them, which is when you scoop out more bass, um, when I mix them, I generally put them around, I want to say at 150 is when they start to sound thin enough that you can uh, pan them a little bit and they sound clear and they're not getting in the way of the bass because the bass is about 50 to 150. About 50 to 100, there's really good power in the bass. 150 is a little bit more mid in the bass. Um, After 150, you kind of want to cut 150 to 200 to avoid boxiness. But like when you're listening to it live in worship, sometimes the vocals are so overpowering and you hear cymbal, you hear kick, you hear bass, and then it's like, where's everything else? Where's your organ? Where's guitar? Where's the keyboard? Uh, Whenever I go to conferences and congresses and stuff, and I'm listening to the music, they tend to do a little bit better there. But sometimes it's just like, it's where you sit and it's how it's mixed. Sometimes it's just rough. Thank you so, so much, Mom. I was telling, I was telling Casey this. I honestly, I'm saying this and I'm not brown nosing at all. Um, I say that as I was born with a brown nose, but like, yours and G's and Harold's and Nana's support. Honestly, you guys are the best. Casey too. You guys are the absolute best. Um, just now, I'm getting some of my family to like follow some of what I do on social media. Um, a lot of times, it was just uh, I would show them something or I'd get them to listen to it, but I don't even know if all of my family's like even subscribed or stuff. Um, but then like you and G and Nana and Case, you guys were like, yeah, we support you and we believe in you, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. I really can't. So something that I don't, I really, I'm very careful going here, Caleb, but I think one of the biggest things that is not talked about is the ego and the pride that can happen with sound with your AV. I have worked AV before. Um, I have worked a little bit of sound before. Um, Thankfully, nothing crazy. Have I worked sound? I know I've worked AV. And maybe not have worked sound like in a public event, but I've worked sound. Um, and one of the things that hats off to sound guys because you were dealing with everything from singers being moody. They're coming in Sunday morning. They haven't had their coffee. They're a little bit moody. They're wearing their slippers. They're just like, I'm here. And you ask them, hey, I need you to sing like you're going to sing in like 2 hours. And their voice isn't there yet, unless they woke up super early and they've been getting up and at 'em, as my mom used to say. Um, sorry, this net has been. Yes. Nope, I didn't get him. I thought I did. Um, unless they've been getting up and at 'em, they are. Um, they're not there. Your guitarist or guitarists sometimes turn themselves up between sets or between practice and the real gig. Bass players are the same sometimes. Drummers can be the same. Keyboard players can be the same. So, like, the sound guys, they're dealing with that. They're dealing with the pressure from the congregation, especially when something is going weird and everybody's looking back at them. And if the sound guy's also running video, then doubly, yeah. So, Caleb, one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten for that situation that you're talking about, have, in your case, have two or three switches that are unassigned. Have a channel strip or two that is unassigned. Tell people that when they have an issue, tell them come up to the board, have them turn the enhance knob. Yeah. Have them turn the enhance knob until it sounds good to them. And the placebo effect takes place, and people are like, okay, this actually sounds like a lot better. And what it is yes, Caleb, you know exactly what I mean. It saves shows, it saves relationships. Again, it's sound guy tricks. Um, but dude, I've come across sound guys that they're so proud of what they do. They're so proud of the job they do, and they don't really they're not really good sound guys, or they're good sound guys, but their attitude stinks. I've come across a couple of situations like that. And that's hard. That's a situation I wouldn't want to be in. That's a situation where you hope people are mature enough that you can have a talk and be like, hey, um, here's what's going on. But obviously, whenever you talk with people, you should never be rude with them. Um, I've had worship directors that have been rude before, and that's not cool. Nobody should be talked to as far as talking down or like, I have control of this and I say what goes. Like, I've been through that before. And believe me, I don't have qualms about picking up my gear and leaving. I sat through that one time and never again. Never again. Um, but people should be talked to like, we're talking. We're just hanging. And it's like, hey, yeah, this is serious. This is church worship service or whatever. And we want to give our best to God. Um, I have my thoughts on that as well. Um, but it's like, I want to give God my best. I want to present, a good offering to him. And if we're trying to do that as a body in unity, then we need to be able to work together as a body. Um, but dude, I've been in situations where, um, well, that's another story. That's another story. I'll tell you about that later. It gets a little bit wild. Um, but yeah, man, like if the teams could learn to work together, it's like a band. The singer, the stereotype is the singer has the big attitude and the least amount of stuff to carry, and the drummer is like has all the stuff he's got to carry, and like person with the next biggest ego is probably the guitarist because he's playing guitar and he's like, I'm gonna get all the chicks. Then you have like the drummer and then the bass player and whoever else is in your band. That's like, I know those stereotypes exist and they exist for a reason, but like in church setting, whether you're a sound guy, whether you're a music director, whether you're the kid that brings everybody water, or you just tell them they sounded good, that's an important job. And it matters. But you should do your job humbly and you should do it well. Oh. Caleb, I feel your pain. Ah. Caleb, I feel your pain. So that's when you, as the sound guy, kind of have to sit down and be like, hey, music director, when's the next music practice? And also, do you care if I come in and talk with the people? And you're like, hey, don't do the puberty crackle like I did. Just be like, hey, so guys, I know you want to hear X, Y, and Z in your ears. The problem is when you have 30 different tracks in your ears at once and you are wearing a pair of triple driver in-ear monitors, if that, or you're trying to listen to that through a wedge monitor, it's not gonna sound like a CD. That's where you're like, choose four. If you want bass, if you want keyboard, if you want a little guitar, you want a little drum, perfect. It's not gonna sound like a CD to you. But then you're also gonna have those people that they dropped $500 on their custom in-ear monitors and they expect them to sound like a mastered record with all the effects and everything else going. It's like, mm-mm, mm-mm. But yeah, man. Ah, there's been worship services where I've been playing, and thankfully, my last music director, he was so chill. He was so chill. Um, he would um, he would be playing along and whatnot, and if he wanted something to like, say he wanted me to keep playing, he'd point over to me. Then he'd be like, everybody, and we'd stop. And you keep playing, you keep doing the lick or whatever. Uh, but then we all go back in. He was really easy to follow. If he needed something done, he would communicate. Like he was great. Brother David, if ever you watch these, if you're watching this at some point, my hat's off to you, sir. You are one of the best music directors I have ever had the pleasure of working with. You are one of the best. So yeah, we would be playing, we'd do whatever, but like if we were having issues, we could communicate it to him and he'd be like, okay. But then he would take it to the sound guy and they would talk and then we'd see if we could get things resolved. But they had an app called SQ4U. And I don't know if that's what you guys run, Caleb, but it lets you adjust the mix that's in your in-ears. The problem is Oh, just reading your comment, Caleb. The problem is that if you have rotating musicians, everybody likes their mix differently. And so that's where the issue comes in. And it's one more thing that you have to worry about. But when everybody can control their mix, it's kind of on them. Caleb, I am so sorry you had to deal with that, man. So one of my horror stories that I tell people about, um, it wasn't even really a horror story, but I was playing guitar at a church, and Case and I, we were dating at the time. Like we were just really starting to date. And playing this youth rally, and I had been practicing these songs and practicing these songs and practicing these songs. And like we get to the rally, and I start loading my gear on the stage, and this person comes up and it's like, "Hey, I am the sound person's spouse, and we run everything through the soundboard. We don't use amps. We run everything through the soundboard. Mind you, I'm still loading in, and so I'm like, okay, thanks for letting us know. That's also a little bit weird to be like, hey, this may not have been communicated to you before, but this is how we do this while people are still like setting stuff up. It's helpful, but it's weird because like it's not the sound person. It's the sound person's significant other. Um ooh, those are good. Those are good in-ear systems or monitor systems, man. Um so long story short, we start playing even in practice, and I will like strum, and the note will come out, and then it'll just die. And I have a noise gate on my pedal board, and I turn it off. I'm like, what is going on? This thing is broken. Exactly, Caleb. It should have come from the actual sound guy, but I guess they kind of been doing it together for a while. So again, it's just kind of weird. But I'm playing these notes and it'll come out and then it'll just die right there. And I'm like, what is going on? So, like I turn off my noise gate, I adjust my pedal board. I'm like, there's something going on. Well, service time comes, and I've been practicing these songs for a while. And so I'm like, well, I have to change how I'm playing this now. Because with the guitar, normally, especially with CCM, it's lots of sustained notes. Caleb, you know where this is going. After the service is done, because mind you, this is happening really fast. We get through practice, people are coming in. We have to practice was rough because not everybody was prepared. Um, More on that on a different video. We finish practice, go down, say hi to people, go to the next door, have our meeting with the ministry team, get ready to pray. We pray over the service, we go back. By that time, they're starting to run ads and stuff. So you cannot necessarily go up and be like, hey, I need to go check this or do this really fast. You can. It's just going to be weird because if if not everybody's experienced and they see one person go up, then they're going to be like, do we all go up? And then you turn around and like your whole praise team's there and it's not time yet. After the service was done, I go and I'm like, hey, like the rest of the sound it was decent. It was good. I asked him, I'm like, hey, so what are you guys running? Do you guys have a noise gate on? And sure enough, Caleb, on the guitar channel, they had a noise gate so that you had about 1.5 second, maybe, of note that would come out before it would get chopped off. I was so upset, man. I was so upset. I was like, "You mean to tell me?" I didn't say this to them because they're still really good at what they did, but that's a rookie mistake. If you've been doing this for years, then some things, bass, guitars, drums, you don't put a noise gate on, or you put a very, very light one on, but you don't put noise gates on those. Dude, to say I learned my lesson is a bit of an understatement. Um, I was so upset, man, because I was like, first of all, we're playing for God. We're not playing for people. But that rally, it seemed to be like one thing after another. And when you have 15 minutes of like actual practice, but you have like another 20 minutes where everybody has to learn their part before service, that gets really hard. It gets really hard. And then, you know, when they're working on vocals and the music's not really playing and you're trying to figure out what's going on, it's just like, so I learned my lesson, yeah. Um, yeah, so I think you're right, Caleb. I think the guitar that was there, I don't remember if it was there or if they said what it was, but I think you're right. Even then, though, I don't think as a sound person, you should do that at the board. You should like an have a great night, Mom. It's so good to talk with you too. Have a great night. Tell uh, Harold good night for me, and tell everybody good night for me, please. Um, but Caleb, I feel like it should be a pedal. Um, Case in point, this little guy, he is like $80 used. Hugs right back to you, Mom. He's like $80 used. Grab one of these guys, and if you have issues with a guitarist having too much sound or excessive sound, say, "Hey, have you used one of these before?" No. Okay, here's an extra cable. Here's the issue that we're running into. Your guitar is too noisy. So let's run your guitar through here, and then you can control the knob. Just turn it enough to where the feedback, that ringing, stops. And then boom, you're good to go. Once you teach them that, it's great. You're not wrong, Caleb. But I think, again, this sounds really bad. I think if you got to do that at the soundboard, if you have to cut the noise at the soundboard, I have qualms about the musician that's playing. Because if they can't hear the noise, I don't know if they're self aware enough. And I don't mean that harshly. I just mean, like, even now, I'm sure you guys can hear the ring that's coming from the dehumidifier. Yeah, man. I'm sure you guys can hear a little bit of that ring because I hear it in these headphones. Can you hear a little bit of the ring from the dehumidifier that's going? Like, whenever I start live streaming, I know that's giving off signal. I know these lights, they're giving off interference. But like, oh, same man. When I played at a church, I was trying to run something and it initially worked, but then it didn't. I took I think I have it around here somewhere. I think. No, I don't think that's it. I had a mono out mono out to stereo cable, all 1/4 inch, right? So you have your 1/4 jack, and it splits off into two. Well, my sound guy wanted me to run into the soundboard, but I couldn't hear myself. Or I'm sorry, I was told by like multiple people on multiple different occasions, we can't hear you. And I understand why. There was so many things fighting for the same frequencies. So what I did was I would run one cable. I think I understand a little bit what the problem is now, but I would run one cable into the DI box, which is, it's supposed to be grounded because it's running an XLR out. Then I would run the second cable to my amp. The problem would come is that there would be the hiss. The hiss coming from two parallel cables that aren't in perfect sync. There's not enough shielding. But also the connections, they're not gold connections. They're plated, the silver plated chrome connections. Exactly. So it would kind of be okay in the DI side. The amp side would hum. And since it's a mobile rig, I couldn't necessarily find that balance and then tape it down. Right, Caleb. So I have somewhere around here, I bought a DI and it's sweet. Oh my goodness, this thing is sweet. Give me just one sec. Okay, so Little Dusty, this is the one I have in my studio. Right, Sidekick. Passive direct box. It has the instrument and the line, the output, the input, the low output, low Z output, and it has the ground lift. My amp is a Fender Champion 30 DSP. It mimics a tube amp. It is not XLR out. It is straight. What's the word? Not tube. It is a digital modifying modeler built into this. So whenever I would turn the volume up a little bit, it would hiss. And in the quiet parts of the service, since there's no other amps up on the stage and all the sound is coming from up above, whenever everything would stop, unless I turned off the amp, you would have this hiss coming at you from about head height. And since it's coming at you from head height, that's kind of hard to miss because all the other sounds coming down from here. So it created a little bit of a problem, but also it would kind of hum a little bit on the soundboard side as well. And so the sound guy would turn it down more. So it got into this really crazy scenario. And eventually I just unplugged from the direct to soundboard because it was like, hey, it's way easier to plug into my amp. And then, everybody that's in congregation, they can hear it just fine. And they're like, ooh, this sounds great. Um, and with that, man, I was like, oh, dude, yeah, grounding issues are not fun. But also the problem is when you're running a stage like that, all the cables that are running to excuse me, to the sound booth, which is on the upper floor, they run into the stage. You have wires coming from a closet in the back rooms that are running underneath the stage as well. So all of that's underneath there, and it follows the same path up into the sound booth or up onto the sound deck. Whenever you have lights, thermostat, ground lines, cameras, all of that together, you're gonna get noise. You're gonna get those sounds unless everything is super well shielded. Um, but yeah, to solve the issue as far as like playing live and people being able to hear it on live stream, I was like, hey, can we just throw a mic in front of my amp? And that wasn't on the table, unfortunately. Again, that's one of those situations where if I play for a church again, um, I'll probably end up building an amp box and be like, hey, yeah, I don't run direct into the board, but you can throw a mic right here at this port. And that amp box will allow you to like crank your amp, close the lid, and you'll get all the cranked tones at nowhere near the unlistenable volume. Dude, we've been going for almost an hour and 30 minutes. Dude, Cat 5 cable for the win. Um, I didn't realize you could use Cat 5 cable to wire a studio and it be way better than running XLRs all over. Because Cat 5, I think, is a lot cheaper. 100 foot of Cat 5 is probably a lot cheaper than 100 foot of Mogami. hmm And that's the thing, man. Like, if you're running wireless systems, so we are running wired packs, um, and then you would have like personal monitors. Drummer had a personal. Don't think it was P13. It may have been. Um, no, 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 no. I think that church is. I think they may have been Behringer's, potentially, but I could be wrong. They were something. Um, they're nice though. Um, anyways, uh, it may have been P13s. Now I'm gonna look this up, man, because I don't want to be talking out my butt. No, I think so. What they were running was the Behringer. Behringer. It may have been the power play, the P16M. I think you were saying P16s. Yeah, P16s. Yeah, I think it was either the P16 or it was the No, it had to have been the P16. It's been way too long since I've looked at those. Dude, personal monitors are nuts. Next acquisition for the studio, Lord willing, is going to be a PreSonus Studio Live 16, the digital mixer. And oh, dude. After that comes picking up the power packs for people with the IEMs and stuff and learning how to do that. Oh, always. If you want good sound, go stand where the sound guy is. That's where you'll get the best sound. Always. But what was I saying? Oh yeah. We were running power packs direct into they would go on stage. Our camera lines would run under stage as well, if I remember correctly. Thermostat was right by the lighting, which was also by the direct inputs. And then you were running wireless mics as well. And so it was just when you're running stage lights, wireless, and all these electronics together, you're running so much interference. But it is what it is. Depending on the color of the lights would also change the sound of the white noise. It was so cool to hear. But yeah, man, I'm so excited. This PreSonus, it's like, oh, what are these guys going for now? $16.0.2. No, I don't think that's the right one. I've seen that one pop up on Reverb, 16.4.2. I think this is the one. Yeah, they are about $1,300 new, depending on a couple things, I think. Sweetwater has the 32 channel one for about $2,000. And originally I was going to pick up a used mixer, right? Caleb, you said the quiet part out loud. You can't be doing that. For those that watch this later, true facts. If ever you're doing like a secular entertainment gig, if you have experience working in the church field and making things work there, the secular gigs tend to hire people that work the church gigs because the people that do the church gigs know how to do more with less sometimes. It's weird, but it's a thing. Dude, I feel like you've been drinking some coffee too. That caffeine is a truth serum. Dude, you're not wrong. It's like, this will look good, so we need to do it like this. Sure, we don't need two 40-inch screens on either side of the room next to the speakers, next to the cameras, next, and it goes from there. And it's like, oh. The only place I would say that is worse venue than a church, depending on how it's built, because same thing goes for churches, school. Because with some schools, especially when they are just brick all along the interior, Oh, dude, don't get me started. When the interior of the auditorium is just brick. It's like, hey, we have big curtains, we have soft furniture. Those brick walls still add so much reverb, and it's just bouncing everywhere. But it was an absolute pleasure to watch this guy. So we, I got to roadie for this event, and it was at a school, and it was not the worst venue by any means. It was pretty cool. Um, you have a really really cool school, St. James, by the way. Um, but like, I got to watch this guy, so the sound of the room is pretty rough starting off. But this guy, he tames the room, and this guy, he does it for a living. He teaches conferences on how to do it. His name is Doug. Super cool dude. Doug, if you ever watch this, it was a pleasure, man. Um, but I watched him tame the room and get everything so that even though it wasn't perfect, it sounded good. I was like, wow, that's nuts. That same show is when I learned that the LED panels, they were like, what was it, like $2,000 for half half of the panel. So we were running stacked panels to make the full screen, and one half of the stacked panel was like 2 grand. So it was like 38,000 dollars that was sitting there hanging on poles. Oh, um, dude. And then I think about churches like Bethel or wherever, or oh, what's that church in Tennessee? I have a friend that he actually volunteers there and he works there. And this is not slander by any means, but like, I think about how massive the LED production is for those places and how many hundreds of thousands of dollars is hanging or planted on the wall. And it's like, that's so nuts to me. Not counting like the places, the arena style where you have like the circular LEDs, you have that framing all coming together and it's suspended and all. It's just like, it's nuts. Mm-hmm. Because again, man, even if you're doing, say you did $750 a panel, which is like a steal of a deal, and you're running 32 panels to make a big screen, like, dude, that's a lot of money. If you're running 10 panels, which I think we were running like 10 or 12 panels. And if it's like 1,800 to 2 grand a pop, no, 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 no. We were running more than that. We were running about 16 to 18 because it was pretty wide. I had to think about that for a second. I'm tired, guys. Been up since like 6 something this morning, I think. I was awake before that too, I do believe. Dude, I'm glad you guys have that kind of income. That is awesome, but that's also, please tell me the projectors weren't replaced by the LED screen. Cuz if they were, that is, oh, I can see them going to like multiple different rooms and stuff, but like, dude, no. Ah, no. Oh no. Oh, you can't make this stuff up. There's nothing wrong with it, but you can't make this up. I'm sorry. I am totally trying right now. Mm. Dude, I don't blame them. Because, like, think about it. Depending on the size projectors you got, the size of screens, that's easily thousands of dollars. Easily thousands of dollars. And then if you drop, let's just say 80, 90 grand on an LED screen that replaced the, $5,000 to $10,000 of projector, especially when it's only a year old. Oh, dude. Welcome to whoever joined us just a little bit ago. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Dude, I still remember back in, I think it was 2012, 2013, the church we were going to. No, 2010, church we were going to still had a giant TV monitor up on the wall where they would do like the words and stuff like that. I think since then they've removed the TV, they just cover over the walls. They're back to using hymnals, which is amazing. It's so good going back and hearing people sing hymns. So Caleb, there was a story that somebody told me. They were there was a church meeting, right? And they had like $10,000 or something like that gifted to them. And the church was having a business meeting and they were trying to figure out what to do with the money. And some people were like, I think it was decided. No, this wasn't my music director's story. This was a family member of mine. They decided that they needed to do new carpet because the carpet was like well worn. But they were given some sum of money. It may not have been 10 grand. It may have been a little bit less. They were given, thank you so much for that, Heart. They were given some sum of money, and oh my goodness, the people started fighting over what color the carpet should be. It got to the point that there kind of had to be divine intervention. I'll tell you more about that later. There was kind of a divine intervention that happened, and the camps kind of had to split a little bit. It was bad. And that's over carpet. Like, carpet's carpet. I don't care if my church has purple carpet with white polka dots. But like, dude, it was just like it's crazy. It's like I was thinking about this. We as people who try to follow Christ, we celebrate debt as a blessing. And that's not a blessing. When we say, God provided me a car, this thing is $50,000. And so for the next 5 years, I'll be paying $400 a month. But I got wheels. The Bible says the borrower is servant to the lender. And God doesn't want us to be under bondage. His blessing doesn't come with strings attached. So, like, somewhere in this mentality, we're like, we got to expand, and not all debt is bad debt. We need to, yeah, sure, our church building is, you know, $300,000 mortgage if you're lucky, depending on the size of the building. If you're lucky, sure, it's a $500,000, building, and we have the people to keep paying tithes and stuff. But like, it bugs me, man, because I'm like, the circuit riding preachers back in the old Americas, it wasn't about buildings. It wasn't about the size of the crowd. They would go around on a horse, maybe like have campfire, maybe have a place to sleep, maybe camp under the stars, and they would ride the circuit preaching the gospel. It wasn't about, I'm invited to Brother Jonathan Edwards' church. I've been invited to Brother so and so's church. And today we have so and so to worship today. Like, it wasn't that. It was actually very different than what we do now. Um, so the Great Awakening, it's attributed to Jonathan Edwards. Back in the day, they did not preach like heavy fire and brimstone. Their sermons were read. Like, you write it down, but then you read it to the congregation. Some people were very boisterous. I forget what his name is. I wanted to say Edmund Burke, but that's not correct. There's another preacher who he is a bigger dude, but he was known for like projection. Jonathan Edwards, when he did the sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, my history teacher, my Bible history teacher, he kind of broke this down. He was like, back then, they didn't yell. He wasn't yelling, oh my goodness, we're sinners. God hates our sin. He loves us, but he hates our sin, and we need to, fall down and repent before him and get right. Like, he wasn't screaming that. He was reading that. More than likely, he was reading that. But as he was reading these words, conviction hit people. And they started repenting. They started seeking after God. They started saying, oh my goodness, I've been defrauding my brother. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. And it started something crazy. Because I've learned if you're trying to do anything via fleshly means, it will only go so far. It will only go so far because flesh cannot work on the spirit. Spiritual things have to work on the spiritual things. And flesh can only interact with the flesh. As far as like some things go. Caleb, that was actually a conversation I had with somebody today. Unfortunately, I gave them like a 8-minute voice text. Sorry about that, Tim. Sent them an 8-minute voice text, and that is something I've had to deal with personally. But it's not. Oh my goodness. It's in the rural churches. I think when it comes to churches that are so big, as long as your family name isn't in one of the cliques or recognizable, then you're good to switch between. But if your family name is a name people recognize and you dip, there's a lot of tremors that are felt. It's crazy. It's so crazy. you already know when we met the one security guy and I mentioned my last name, I wasn't doing that for clout. I wasn't doing that for special privileges. I was just like, hey, tell your pastor. Um, yeah, yeah. Um, I was like, tell your pastor, uh, hi, and hi from so and so. You saw what happened. I was not trying to get any points there. I was not, excuse me, I was not trying to like flash anything. But like, if you have the right name, it is the nepotism, like you talked about. It's the, oh, we know this person. So and so is a such and such. They're this, they're that. And it's just, it's weird. It's in small churches too. Like, I think that's why God's been talking to me some recently about some stuff. As I get in the Bible and I start reading, I start recognizing some things. There'll be thought patterns and stuff that I get that are way too deep for my own brain to have just thought of it. And I say it like that because not everybody believes in God. And, you know, you're entitled to believe what you want to believe. You have that ability. I look at the world around me, I look at how things are, look how people are designed, how the body's designed, how space is designed. And I'm like, somebody made that. And I happen to believe it's Jesus. That's my belief. But like, dude, I grew up and I've seen the cliques, I've seen the I've seen the groups, I've seen the good, I've seen some of the bad, and all the more. I told this person from this morning, I told them I was like, I just want to know the Jesus of the Bible. I don't want to know the Jesus that gets preached on Sundays that is nothing like the Jesus I read in the Bible. Because people like to put their own interpretation on who Jesus was and who he is. Um, People like to say things and preach things that are sometimes really out of order. Um, if you've ever been part of like Pentecostal denomination and stuff, then you might have seen some things. There is a biblical way some things are supposed to go down, and it's scary sometimes how little I actually see what's in the Bible come to be. Exactly, Caleb. Study to show thyself approved, a workman that needeth not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. It's so important. Okay, guys, we've been going for almost 2 hours. I was not anticipating going this long, but man, tonight got good. Um, we will probably be live streaming again some next week. Um, Things are not going to go through with the initial screen printer like I was hoping they would. The prices were going to be way too high for the budget I'm trying to do. Because, like I said, I'm trying to get these shirts out to you guys $10 or less. Um, this is, it might take a while, um, but we will get there eventually, Lord willing. Um, if I cannot make it about $10 or less a shirt, then I'm going to do the absolute best I can because I want you guys to be able to get as much merch as you can. And I want to be able to give it away to people as well who may need something from time to time. Um, Caleb, you know I would. I still have coffee in this cup, but waking up at 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, catching like a 15-minute nap, at 6 in the morning or 6:30 in the morning or whatever, and then being up the rest of the day. It kind of sucks. I don't know. I kind of miss my pillow. Ugh. See, but we're gonna get some more merch out to you guys, Lord willing. We are. There's so many things that can be done. It's about finding the right things, what it is people want to get. There's quite a few smaller items that we can get. My merch guy, the guy who manufactures it, it's there's a lot of good stuff that we can get for pretty cheap. Stuff that should be able to be mailed out and stay pretty cheap. So I gotta talk with him, but I gotta get some stuff squared away first. New songs hopefully coming out either this week or the following week. I will do my best to try to get. I'll do my best to try to get at least a short song out this week. No promises. I'm hoping to also live stream some this next week. Be praying. We need some more clientele. So, Caleb, if you want to let your church know, there's a guy who can write your church an introduction theme for all their podcasts, all that stuff. I'm partially kidding. Just pray if you would. Definitely could use some more clientele at the moment. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hanging out with people more next week. I am trying to find a location for hats. I've had people ask about hats, and I do want to get those out. Need to find some good places for that. That is on the agenda. Yeah, lots of good stuff, guys. There's lots of good stuff. Hopefully, going to be shooting another music video for the demo track, Caleb. The one you heard, it is definitely in the works as a very, very rough mix of it, but got to figure out the storyboarding and stuff for the shoot and all that before we start doing it. So maybe that is honestly, Caleb, that's going to be a bit of a drive, but there's a lot of good stuff there. It would be like if we went all the way to St. Louis, it'd be like from early morning to night and then making it back home super late, more than likely, because surprisingly it actually takes quite a bit of footage to make a decent music video. But it's kind of fun, not gonna lie, the process is fun. So yeah, guys, remember, you matter, you're not junk, Jesus loves you. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Thank you so much, Caleb. I might take you up on that. Guys, be sure to, if you are not follow over on Facebook, subscribe if you're new here, please. Once we hit 200 followers, that will trigger a giveaway. It may be once we hit 200, it may be a little bit after that, but that's the threshold for when this giveaway will trigger. And lots of good stuff. So you guys have a great night. We'll see you guys in the next one.